Told my boyfriend not to be surprised if I'm not attracted to him after giving birth. Now he's upset and says I'm being hurtful. Just being honest about my feelings, but wondering if I went too far. When my boyfriend and I got together, he had told me that he wasn't initially interested in my looks cause I didn't fit what he usually went for. I was naturally fit due to a high metabolism. And doing yoga 4 times a week, but after he in his words saw how I looked naked, said he couldn't get enough. My boyfriend has said from the start of our relationship that he is someone who loves physical affection, and I grew up in a house where we didn't have physical affection, so it was a pretty big adjustment, but I learned to love it honestly. We have been together for over 2 years when I found out I was pregnant. I was terrified, but he told me we would do this together, and even though it was scary, we would do it together. We found out we were having twins around 10 weeks, and this caused a lot of anxiety for me because I was told how big I would get and how much I would stretch, and being someone who has never had much weight to me, it was scary. I sat down with my boyfriend and told him that I was scared that not only would I not love myself, but how scared I was of him losing interest in me. Yes, it's pretty low in problems when growing a baby. But it took me a long time to look in the mirror and like what I saw. He told me that he has always been excited to be a dad and that he thinks me carrying our children is so hot. Fast forward and I am now 29 weeks and measuring the size of a full-term pregnancy with a singleton pregnancy. I'm huge and have really struggled with the weight because my body hasn't handled it well, so I was put in high risk by my obgyn because she is worried my body will give out due to that weight. Since about 23 weeks, my boyfriend has started to pull away with affection. This is anything from kissing me to having intimacy. So this has caused me to have very low self-esteem, but I started seeing a therapist and have recently started trying to cope and love myself. And one thing she told me to put myself out there and see if maybe me getting him in the mood and pampering him did anything to help. I did everything I could to make the night special for him: candles, his favorite dinner, a massage for him, just whatever I thought he would like. After the massage, I tried to turn it more, and he turned me down. At this point, it's been over a month since he has given me anything from a compliment about my body, so when he turned me down, it wrecked me. I waited till he fell asleep, then I cried for all in the bathroom. I decided that when he woke up, I would talk to him to see if there was anything I could do more for him or if I could do anything better. This conversation started by him saying he just wasn't attracted to me and that all he sees is someone growing a child. I asked if him seeing me this way meant that I didn't deserve compliments and affection of any kind, and he said he loves me just as much as before, but he can't separate me from the child and it makes him feel gross. This caused me to become angry, and I said something I regretted, which was, well, don't be surprised if I wasn't attracted to him after I give birth, and you would be lucky if when I bounce back, if I even want to touch you. This caused us both to stop, and he said that's not the same, and it's hurtful that you would keep intimacy from me. I feel horrible for what I said because I know that what I said wasn't true, but in the moment I felt so hurt. I did apologize, but he said I was out of line, and now he is hurt and can't stop thinking about what will happen when I give birth. Update: he was sleeping with someone else. He came home drunk crying, saying how it's been hard for him to even look at me after sleeping with a woman from work, and he was sorry it took me asking about this change in behavior to tell me. Thank you for all the advice and putting things in perspective. I never thought this shit would happen at 22 and having twins in a few months, but at least now I have some clarity. He has been begging and crying at our bedroom door for me to talk to him for over an hour about me not leaving him. Thanks again.
Next story. Kicking my brother out of my wedding for making my fiancée cry. But now my family thinks I ruined the day. Was I wrong for standing up for her? My wedding was this past weekend, and I'm honestly still in shock over what happened. My fiancée, now wife, and I have been together for 7 years. We've gone through everything together: moving in, job losses, her battle with anxiety, everything. So our wedding day was supposed to be our day to finally celebrate all that, right? Well, it was until my brother decided to ruin it. For context, my brother 30M has always had a weird thing about pranks. He calls them jokes, but honestly, they've always been mean-spirited and embarrassing. Growing up, I'd laugh it off or get mad, and he'd say I was being too sensitive. But this time, it went way too far. During our reception, he got up to give a speech. I thought it would be nice, maybe he'd say something heartfelt for once. But no. Instead, he pulls out a freaking slideshow of hilarious photos of my wife, old ones from her Instagram, where she's crying, looking vulnerable, or just super unflattering. And he starts making jokes about her weight fluctuations, saying how she used to look like a twig when we first started dating and now she's more well-fed. My wife's face turned white. She started crying quietly. And my brother? He just kept going, laughing like he was the funniest guy on the planet. The whole room was dead silent. I saw red. I stood up, walked right over to him, and told him to leave. Right in the middle of his speech, I said he was done, and I didn't care if he was my brother. My wife was humiliated. He tried to brush it off, saying I was ruining the fun and that everyone else thought it was funny. No one laughed, not one person. He refused to leave at first, so I told security to get him out. He stormed out, calling me effing drama queen on the way out. Now, my parents are furious with me for embarrassing my brother at my own wedding. They think I overreacted, that I should have let it slide because he didn't mean it. My mom even said my wife was overreacting too, that this was all just part of his sense of humor. My wife hasn't stopped crying since. I told my family we're taking a break from them. But now my phone is blowing up with texts from my mom and dad, saying I've fractured the family and ruined my own wedding over a joke. I get that I blew up, but I couldn't stand seeing my wife so hurt. Did I go too far? Next story. Yelling at my girlfriend that I am a person, not a comfort blanket, but now she says I'm insensitive. Was I wrong for finally expressing my frustration? My F26 and my girlfriend 23 have been together 3 years. My geef struggles with a lot of anxiety over different things. For the last 3 years I've done my best to be there for her and help her navigate things. She is the type of person that will shut down rather than face something head on. For example, I was once out when electric ran out. She rang me panicking and I told her how to fix it. She didn't understand, so just mentally shut down and refused to learn for if it ever happened again. My geef knows how to drive. She has her license and a car, but she will refuse to drive if she doesn't feel comfortable. The only way to make her comfortable is if the place we are going is a place she knows really well, if she has either driven the route before or has spent hours on Google Maps, and I have to be next to her. She will not drive alone. Last January, my sister died. I was obviously heartbroken. My geef tried her best to be there for me, but I must admit I found myself feeling annoyed as I simply wanted to be left alone to process my feelings. Last month, my other sister died. I was left feeling broken and even now cry every time I think about it. I feel like I didn't really get chance to process the first sister dying, so that made it even harder this time. I decided I needed time to process, so I stopped spending so much time and energy on helping my geef do basic tasks. This has caused issues between us. She feel like I don't consider her a priority anymore. I feel completely burnt out. This morning she told me her and her therapist have made a plan that will help her be more independent. I was happy to hear this, until she explained it involves me getting in her car every day, while she drives around to build confidence. I told her I wasn't doing that. I explained I didn't want to be dragged around in the car a few hours every day. She kept nagging me about how she needed this, and I was holding her back by not helping her. Eventually I lost my temper and yelled at her that I am a person, not a comfort blanket. I have my own shit I need to deal with and am not just available to her whenever she needs it. She started crying and hasn't spoken to me since. Did I go too far? Next story.
Not allowing my friend to bring her emotional support animal to my house after it destroyed my furniture the last time. But now she says I'm not being supportive. Am I being unreasonable for setting boundaries? I 19F have a close friend, Amy 21F, who has a small dog that she refers to as her emotional support animal. I'm a huge animal lover and have no problem with pets in general, so when she asked if she could bring her dog over a few months ago for a small gathering, I was totally fine with it. However, during that visit, her dog completely destroyed one of my couch cushions by chewing it up and also scratched the legs of my coffee table. Amy apologized, but she kind of brushed it off and said, "He's still learning to behave in new environments." I didn't push back too much because I know the dog is important to her, but I was pretty upset because it cost me quite a bit to replace the damaged items. Fast forward to now, Amy asked if she could bring her dog to my place again for another get-together. I politely told her that I wasn't comfortable with the dog coming this time because of what happened last time, and I don't want any more of my furniture ruined. Amy got really upset and said that I was being insensitive to her mental health needs. She insisted that she needs the dog with her at all times and that I'm making her feel excluded by not allowing the dog. I suggested that she leave the dog at home just for a couple of hours or that we meet somewhere else, but she said I'm being unreasonable. Now, some of our mutual friends are saying I should let the dog come to keep the peace, but I don't think it's fair that I should risk more damage to my home. Am I being unreasonable for setting boundaries?